Jean Piaget and his stages of development. Jean Piaget was born in Switzerland on August 9, 1896. He died in Geneva on September 16, 1980. He was the oldest child of Arthur Piaget, professor of medieval literature at the university, and of Rebecca Jackson. In the 1920s, Piaget was employed at the Binet Institute, where his job was to develop French versions of questions on English intelligence tests. He became intrigued with the reasons children gave for their wrong answers to questions that required logical thinking. He believed that those incorrect answers revealed important differences between the thinking of adults and children. This line of thinking laid the groundwork for Piaget's 1936 systematic study of cognitive development. His contributions included a 4-stage theory of child development and how a child learns. Before Piaget's work, the common assumption in psychology was that children are merely less competent thinkers than adults. Piaget showed that young children think in strikingly different ways compared to adults. According to Piaget, children are born with a very basic mental structure, genetically inherited and evolved, on which all subsequent learning and knowledge is based. Now, as the 4 stages start with the sensorimotor stage, birth to 2 years old. Within this stage, the infant advances from reflex to representing objects mentally and cognitively, combining and manipulating them. The main achievement during the stage is object permanence, knowing that an object still exists even when it's hidden. Secondly, we have the pre-operational thought period, 2 to 7 years. In this period, children learn through pretend play, but can still struggle with logic and taking the viewpoint of another person. During this stage, children are able to think about things symbolically. Next, we have the concrete operations period, ages 7 to 11 years old. Now, children at this point begin to think more logically, but their way of thinking can be very rigid, very black and white, right or wrong. Children also become less egocentric and begin to think about how others feel, leading into the formal operations period, otherwise known as teenagers from outer space. No, actually, the formal operations period, 11 years to 15 years, we do see an increase in logic and deductive reasoning, as well as understanding of abstract ideas and the ability to logically test hypotheses. The next viewpoint is, what are the educational implications of Piaget and his groundbreaking work? Well, Piaget's work led into a type of learning called discovery learning. Discovery, the word discovery, discovering the idea that children learn best through doing and actively exploring on their own. Secondly, assimilation and accommodation that require active, not a passive learner. And third, focus on the learning rather than the end product. Other Piaget's influences include how he changed how people view the child's world and their methods of studying children. Piaget was an inspiration to many who came after and took up his ideas, which has increased our understanding of cognitive development, especially of children. And thirdly, practical use in understanding and communicating with children especially in the field of education. That leads to possible criticisms of Piaget and his stages of development. Vygotsky and Brunner preferred to see development as a continuing process, not the Piaget stages. Keating in '79 reported that 40 to 60% of college students fail at formal operational tasks. Dason in '94 stated that only 1/3 of adults ever reach the formal operational stage, and he also stated and found that culture also plays a major part in the developmental development of children. Piaget's influences education even today. His researches in developmental psychology had one unique goal. How does knowledge grow? His answer is that the growth of knowledge is a progressive construction of logically embedded structures, superseding one another by a process of inclusion of lower, less powerful logical means into a higher and more powerful, all the way to adulthood. Piaget, a pioneer of children development.